Hello and welcome to Mr. Recapped. Let us look at the first season in episode 3. John Healy was recruited to murder a man named Prahaskar and went to Turk Barrett 36 hours ago to get a weapon. Because the weapon was still fresh from the packaging, Barrett assured him that it would not jam. Healy goes to Whitestone Lanes and approaches Prahaskar, who is bowling with his 2 bodyguards, and asks if he may join him. Prahaskar refuses and orders Healy to be removed by his security. Healy confronts the thugs and sends them fleeing before attacking Prahaskar. After pulling his revolver on the bowler, Healy kills Prahaskar by beating his face with a bowling ball. When the New York City Police Department comes, Healy hides the weapon, surrenders, and demands counsel. Matt Murdock's injuries from his fight with the Russian mafia are still bothering him. He takes a seat and is noticed by Father Paul Lantom, who knows him as Jack Murdock's child. Lantom notes Murdock's scars and offers him to talk over a latte made by a machine at the chapel. Murdock rejects it and walks away. At Nelson and Murdock's law practice, Karen Page receives a letter from Union Allied Construction, which she quickly hides as Foggy Nelson arrives, still reeling from the fun he and Page had the night before. He reminds her, much to her displeasure, that she agreed to work for free. They see Murdock's scars as he walks in, but when they challenge him about them, Murdock lies about how he got them. James Wesley arrives at the door and offers the attorneys significant cash as a permanent retainer to work for him and handle the Healy case. Murdock does not trust him and follows him as Wesley walks to his employer's automobile. Murdock begins to bleed from his wounds and allows them to depart. Nelson refuses to take the case to jail after meeting Healy, who appears to be a little too knowledgeable about the judicial system. Murdock, on the other hand, wants the case because they need the money. Meanwhile, Page meets with a lawyer for her old employer. He wants her to sign a non-disclosure agreement and accept 6 months' compensation in exchange for her difficulty. She is offended since her problem included nearly getting killed twice. As a result, she does not sign the documents. When Wesley enters the courtroom, Murdock notes that a juror's pulse changes considerably. That night, he pursues her and discovers she is being blackmailed. Daredevil beats up the man who is blackmailing her and learns nothing from him except that there will be another blackmailer to take her place. Murdock has Page investigate his employment, but she discovers that he works for a bogus firm. Ben Urich believes there is a new power player in Hell's Kitchen, but his employer at the New York Bulletin, Mitchell Ellison, refuses to investigate it since it does not sell newspapers. Urich is particularly concerned about the well-being of his ailing wife, who is in hospice. Murdock informs the jury in court that Healy is not guilty of murder by the letter of the law. When they return with their judgment, Murdock sees that another juror's heartbeat accelerates as Wesley arrives. Healy is free because the jury is deadlocked. Daredevil and Healy battle. Healy can turn anything around him into a weapon. Daredevil manipulates Healy into naming Wilson Fisk as his boss. Shortly after, Healy commits himself, fearful of the consequences of naming Fisk. Page travels to meet Danielle Fisher's wife to express her sympathies. She is unaccepting and wants to be left alone to raise her children in peace. Mrs. Fisher signed her agreement because she needed the money, Page discovers. Wesley meets with Leland Owlsley, who wonders what has been keeping Fisk so busy recently and discovers that Fisk is suddenly interested in art. Fisk meets Vanessa Mariana at an art gallery and talks about a painting. Page goes to Urich for aid against the guys behind Union Allied Construction. Episode 3 is complete, and we'll see you tomorrow for episode 4. Thank you.